James Pelton, and I am here with the team from 0xBlock. And if you're part of the 0xBlock community, it looks like we have a little bit of a surprise here today. Andres, who you are one of the founders, correct?
That's right. That's right.
He is doxed here for the first time. So I've seen his face before, so it's old news for me. But for the community, this is the first time he's showing his face. So honored that you're doing that on my channel. I really appreciate that. But thank you guys so much for coming today.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thanks for the invite.
Yes, you are welcome. You're welcome anytime. Appreciate you guys. And this is awesome. We already have some people asking questions in the comments, so that's awesome. As I wait for people to kind of hop on, first thing is please like this video. YouTube has an algorithm, and they have a ratio of how many people watch the video to how many people like the video to determine if it's a good video. So appreciate you doing that. If you wouldn't mind, if you feel up to sharing the video, whether it be on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, appreciate that also. And as we're going, please do ask any questions that you have. And I know the team, if there's things that you have that are making you hesitant to invest, the team would rather, even if it's a hard question, the team would rather you ask and address it and invest than just keep it to yourself and be all polite and nice. So feel free to ask whatever. Nothing's off the table. And last thing before we get into it, if you're watching, I'm going to have you just can you comment where you're watching from in the world? I find that just super interesting. Just seeing, again, I'm in Lincoln, Nebraska, where it's basically the furthest away from another country that you could be anywhere in the world, maybe. So it's always cool just to hear I'm talking to people from all over the place. We have South Africa, Oman. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. New England we have, so that's not too far away. But yeah, appreciate all you guys watching. We couldn't watch we couldn't have an AMA unless you guys came to watch. It'd be very lame for me just to sit here talking. We've got somebody, John Henderson from Nebraska. So there you go. We'll have to grab lunch sometime or something. All right. Well, now to the 0xBlock team. Could you start by just introducing yourself?
Sure, I can go off. I'm Andres. I'm one of the co-founder of 0xBlock. It was me and Professor really that started this together. We kind of knew each other beforehand from working together on various projects before. And we decided to join arms and make this thing of our own, really. Professor, do you want to go next?
Yes. Yeah, so me and Andres started this together, which is called 0xBlock. So we were working together for like past 2 or 3 years, building websites, building different projects, software development, web development. And then we started this because we both saw what happened with the ring and then Strong. So we have seen all of that legacy. And then when we were seeing that there are rugs happening, people are burning, wasting their money, like scammers are entering into this. So then we thought, why should not we start this and let's make millionaires?
Awesome. So yeah, towards myself, I'm Inflame. I'm the CMO of 0xBlock. I've met Andres and Professor, I think in February. They hired me and we came together and managed to grow into a really good team. I'm in DeFi since 1.5 years, made a huge experience in the NFT space, in the DeFi space, built up some projects, sold up some NFTs before. And yeah, so we came together and started building 0xBlock, and I think we're doing really well and growing an awesome community and an awesome team.
Awesome. Yeah, when I ask questions, it's hard with 3 on because you're never quite sure who's supposed to answer what. So I'll try to address who I think should answer, or I'll address everything to Andres, and you can kind of send to whoever you
can split it up.
Yeah, there you go. So I did a video on you guys. I think it's been maybe 3 weeks ago or so. It's been. Can you talk about just how it's gone since then and kind of what you've been up to since then?
Yeah, definitely. We've definitely been busy since. So launching was really just the first part of it all, really, so that we could get something out there that's tangible, so that people can actually interact with us to begin with. And since then, we've actually been working hard to push out our new features. Namely, we have on-site swap. We've added Wallet Connect integration. And we're also working on a few more features that we want to release for our DeFi app before we move on to more intricate features that will be part of what will later become our decentralized exchange.
Okay, very cool. And just for people who, I don't want to spend too long on this, but just for people who aren't familiar with what your project is, could you kind of sum up what the vision is and what you're trying to create?
Yeah, sure. So the way that I see it really, let me just pull it up real quick because I had written a little brief text to remind myself here.
There you go.
Um,
Prepared. I like it.
Always
let's
join
see here.
prepared.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. So basically, 0xBlock is a protocol that offers blockchain asset diversification under one token. So what that means is that we simplify the process of crypto investing by cutting the hassle of day trading. So our holders can get exposure to top coins simply by holding 0xB. We strive in transparency and to deliver solid products that generate streams of income for our protocol, which go back to the holders.
Okay, I think that sums it up. And I think somewhere down here before you said you called it a hedge fund. Okay, so I'm okay calling it that because it's that on your website. So
Right. Yeah, we're still there's obviously a lot of legality that goes behind this, and we're still going under rounds of review with our legal team. So it's possible that we'll see some of the lingo change in the future, but as of right now, that's how we're calling it for sure.
okay, so I think that's probably the best way for people to look at it, though. Whether or not that's what you end up calling it, that's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
to look at
it's
it.
the same thing, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is basically a way, if you're new to DeFi or you don't want to explore and go into all the different options and you just want experts to kind of take your investment and go put it into something, this would be the type of place to do it. Is you buy one of their contracts, which maybe sometime in here I'll show people how to do that. But you just mint one of these contracts here. You earn a certain amount a day. You have this kind of cool decaying model, which I think is important with the landscape of where node projects are at these days.
It's
Actually, do you want?
certainly important for sustainability in the long term.
Yeah, and actually, do you want to talk about that? I think it's one thing that sets you up a little bit different. Do you want to maybe talk about what would make you a little distinct from the other node projects in the space?
Sure. Should I go ahead, or Professor, would you like going about this?
Yeah, I can take this. Yeah, so when we were brainstorming on how we can configure the 0xBlock and its mathematical model, so we also worked with an economist, and then we ran some different formulas to see the sustainability in the long run, because that matters, right? Because we are giving rewards. The first thing in our foundation was that we were against lifetime rewards, because that's completely unrealistic and not possible. So we thought that that the decay model is the most key thing which protocols were missing. So we added this. By this, there's also one thing I want to add, that there are some protocols who take your money for like more than 150 days. But our idea in 0xBlock was that we don't want to lock our investors' money for more than like 100 or 120 days. So first, how our DK model works is that when you mint a contract, technically you get your initial back in like uh, 73 days for Tesseract, 100 days for Cube, and then 140 days for Square. And then it start decreasing. So that's a kind of safety for our investor, that when he is investing, he is getting his initial back, and then we start picking rewards. which helps us in sustainability in the long run.
Okay, and these are actually the type of numbers that I like to see in DeFi. You know, we're used to. Well, I'm not going to bring up any specific projects. That would be really
We all know about them.
yes, but you know, if you're using your treasury to invest in other things, like these are the types of returns in DeFi that you would hope to get with a lot of things. So again, I like that, and I love decaying rewards because you know, lifetime rewards just makes me so nervous because it's just as you add more people, it just the amount of sell pressure just goes up, up, and up to infinity, and there's really no stopping it.
Exactly.
So we
It's
have a
just
lot
not
of
realistic.
yes, exactly. So we have a lot of questions from the audience, which is awesome. So audience, if you have a question you would like to ask, please ask it, and I will get to it here pretty quickly. It's easier doing a project that I've covered before because I don't feel like I need to go into it quite as detailed. But I did want to hear kind of like what's on your guys' roadmap going forward. Again, we rely on the teams to keep innovating and keep doing things. Can you talk two things about what investments you've done and are planning on doing, and what's on the roadmap for what you're planning on doing going forward?
Yeah, so as I previously mentioned, like we're just finishing off some of the features that we absolutely wanted to release for the DeFi app before we moved on to any other features that may be included in the DEX or whatnot. So what we're working on right now is really the auto compounding feature, which is probably one of the main things that's been requested and that we did plan on bringing implementing. So that's the next big thing that we're working on. Once we're going to be finished with that update, obviously it has to go through rounds of audits. That's mostly what slows down the development process, is to make sure that these things are tested and to the best of our efforts have been pen tested, right? And so once we've released that feature, our next step would really be to start working on some decentralized exchange features. Namely, we're looking at options where we could have some type of potentially AI or a bot that would trade within pools and generate gains for our pools. And basically that revenue would be going back to holders in various forms.
Okay, very cool. That is very exciting, and we've got a ton of questions. This is awesome. This will make my job really easy. I don't even need to be here. Just clicking on what other people are asking. Does 0xBlock? And by the way, I'm going to go through some questions, but if you guys have things you particularly want to talk about, we can do that as well. But does 0xBlock have a finite number of 0xB tokens that can be in circulation, or can devs mint additional tokens as needed?
Yeah, so that's correct. There is a finite number of tokens. There's a total of 1 million tokens that have been minted already and distributed according to our tokenomics. So there can't be any more tokens that's it. So most of these tokens can be found actually as part of the rewards wallet, and there's a small portion that went to the dev and marketing wallet and to us, the founders.
Okay, and I love, let me see if I can bring it back up here. That makes me too big. There we go. But yeah, you guys are very transparent about the wallets. Like you can see exactly what's in the treasury, what's in the liquidity, what's in the rewards. And then, yeah, you have this, the dev marketing wallet, and then you have this reserve rewards wallet too.
Yeah, I think that it's important to note what the reserve wallets are. It's more of a security feature where if for some reason our contract were to be exploited, obviously we do our best to stop that. But if for some reason our rewards wallet would be at risk, at least not all of the tokens would be found there. They would. We still have to transfer some tokens from the reserve rewards wallet to the rewards wallet to pay out to the contract holders.
Okay, very cool. And I did notice that you haven't really invested very much compared to what you could. Do you want to talk through that? I imagine it's because of the way the markets are. But
Yeah.
you talk through your
Right.
thoughts.
So mostly the way we generate these funds to use in our investment portfolio is through the claiming, through the minting of contracts, and through the volumes that we get. Right. So we were able to generate some portion, but we had to stay conscious of swapping the tokens, right? Because every time we sell those tokens, we're creating a sell pressure, and it's never fun for the investors to see the price tanking, especially if they know that it's coming from us directly. But we do plan on working on that and getting more funds for our treasury for sure.
Okay, very cool. Then Capcom wants to know, in the future, here, let me move back here so your face isn't covered. There we go. In the future, will there be a sell tax on 0xB sell transactions made by traders who do not own 0xBlock contracts?
Yeah, I think it's maybe we can discuss with Professor here. It's still something that we talk about. We're definitely open to different methods of generating revenue that way, but we also have to be mindful of the impact that it has on the people who are already part of the protocol. So we try not to tax people too much, because we see it all too often in various different projects where you're being taxed at every step of the way, and it's just a bad experience in my experience to go through that.
Okay, good answer. Can you sell your contracts to get your tokens back at some point, or is that something on the roadmap or anything?
Professor, do you want to maybe talk about that a bit?
Yeah. So basically, currently there is no option to sell your contract, because once your contract is minted, your tokens are locked. And that's where the DK model comes, that you get your initial in like first 100 days, and then DK model starts. So basically it was designed in a way that people can feel safe. They don't feel like their investment is locked and they are just waiting and waiting to get their initial back and then start generating some profits. So that's why you cannot sell your contracts, because our DK model is designed in such a way that you can wait like first 70 to 100 days to get your initial back.
Okay. And then John wants to know, was this the first decay model released or just the best? I guess I'll ask you guys that. What made you decide to do that? What have you seen in other projects that made you want to go that direction?
To be honest,
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, to be honest, when we started building 0xBlock, there were not like any other protocols. Because we started building right after the scam of Ring, and from like after few weeks we started building, and then we were working on the DK model. But some of the protocols also released before us, and then we saw that they also had some kind of DK models. But yeah, this was not like copied from any other protocol, because we already had this in mind from day one when we started building our protocol.
Yeah, we had noticed some protocols were having decay models. Not a lot of them were really transparent about what the decay model was, or the metrics behind it. So that's why we figured it made sense for us to do that model. I've actually I'm part of a protocol that talked about bringing in DK model a while back, and it wasn't really a transparent thing, like I said, but it's definitely something that I had in mind at least over a year ago, even before I started this project. So for me, it was a no-brainer once we started development that it's something that we needed for sustainability, at least.
Okay. Oh, man, we got a lot of questions. This is awesome. Yeah, just keep them coming, guys. What utilities do you plan on releasing in the coming weeks to maintain buying pressure?
Yeah, in terms of utility, it can take some time building DEX and our multi-chain wallet. But to counter some kind of sell pressure or buying pressure, we are going to release some new features, which includes staking, LP staking, where users can add liquidity to support our pool, right? So whenever someone buys and sells, that does not impact too much on the price. So these features will also help us to make our pool strong and to like adjust the price impact.
I think on this point I can also jump in because it will be some kind also of marketing which will counter the sell pressure. I think you misspelled it because you said you want to counter the buying pressure. I think that's not the way it should go. So yeah, of course, we are also planning on a heavy marketing and community campaign. For me, it's basically a very important part to grow a natural and nice community. So it should be a place, if you join our Discord and chat with the people, that it's some kind, you want to join a daily talk with the guys, and we grow naturally. So we have some things planned that's called our community ambassador program, which we will launch soon, which will provide a lot of things for our community, a lot of benefits, and helping them growing each other. And of course, we have the basic marketing things with ads, with tweets, YouTube videos, partnerships. Especially on partnerships, we will work deeply in the future. Having also some nice talks with some high quality people and projects. And yeah, so this will, besides the technical things we are launching, this will be a big part and will bring us forward, definitely.
Okay, and that was actually, I believe that was the next question, is volume's been kind of low. What's the plan to get more volume? So you kind of talked through that, some of the marketing plans that you have. Is there anything else you want to talk about from a marketing standpoint? I know the market as a whole has been kind of rough. And so do you have any aces up the sleeve of other than James Pelton AMAs? I mean, that's pretty good plan.
Come on, give yourself some credit.
Yeah, there you go. But anything else that you would like to say to the community on the marketing side of things?
Yes, I can, of course, like as I've already mentioned, besides the basic stuff, which everyone should do, we have also planned to get deeper first into the Node community, of course, because we start as a passive income product, but our future plans will hold the DEX, NFTs, and our wallet. So we will provide also some high quality products. So basically, we start with the target of the Node community because they already know how everything works. But we also will focus a lot on new people because I think our app is very beginner friendly, and we started already with a video we posted as our pinned on Twitter. You can see it, which explains basically in 1 to 2 minutes what is 0xBlock. So you can just chill, click on the video, watch it 2 minutes, and then you have an idea what are we and why you should invest in us. So even a beginner of crypto knows about us. And right after this AMA, we will launch our next video, which will be a basic tutorial for beginners, how to get invested into our project and overall how to get into crypto. So we will, of course, target heavily the Node community, but also provide to get new people into crypto, because I think it's our I don't know which word I should use, but we should educate people to get into crypto, because if they miss it now, they will regret it. Definitely. I mean, we all know that.
And I think it ties in with one of the products that we plan on releasing, which is a wallet. A lot of people are asking, like, why would you do a wallet when it's something that's already available? And it comes down to onboarding new people into crypto. So getting them from the point A, where they have no clue what crypto is, to actually purchasing crypto, all in one flow, and make it really simple for the end user. So onboarding and on-ramping people into crypto is a big thing to us. And in the next month, we'll be developing a lot of content to educate, newcomers into crypto.
Okay, now Andres, it sounds like you were reading the comments and answering the questions that people are asking before I asked them.
I have not looked at it, to be honest. I have not looked.
Okay, that is what somebody just asked, that why create? What's the reason to spend time creating a new wallet when we already have too many wallets?
Yep. It's funny. I said that because it's something that comes often, right? People are asking this question because we mentioned the wallet, and it's a valid question, right? Why recreate the wheel? And we're not trying to recreate the wheel. We're just trying to onboard people who have no idea what crypto is. So instead of having them go in various different locations to fetch a wallet, to fetch this, to fetch that, we'd rather have it under one roof so that the flow of it all is very seamless. When you think of products like Apple, they didn't reinvent the cell phone; they just made it easier for the consumer, and that's I think that's what you have to do.
Yeah, and it makes sense for some project that's trying to onboard new people to have both. Okay, here's what helps you onboard. I mean, MetaMask is kind of hard to understand and get set up and things like that. And so if you're going to do, it makes sense to do both sides of it. I think so. It makes sense.
Yeah, I would also like to add that on top of that, it will also help us to generate good revenue in long term if we onboard a lot of people. Like I would like to mention that MetaMask did $300 million of revenue just last year in the fees which we use to do transactions, sending tokens from one wallet to the other.
Wow. Yep, that's a lot. That's a lot of revenue. And John would like to know, are there any ICOs, IDOs, or IGOs, or any IOs of any kind planned for the near term?
I don't think we have anything of the sort that is planned since our token is already launched and available to the public. People can just access it and participate in this project, really. We do plan on coming out with some NFT line at some point, but it's something that we're still brainstorming and discussing. We want to make sure that if we bring out such a product that we actually give it real utility, right? So we've already came out with this with our DeFi platform, and we're still working to make sure that we bring utility to it. So utility is really the big thing that's in the back of our mind at every step of the way, and that's what we keep going for.
Okay, and I think probably the question might be around like, if you're going to do crypto wallets or dexes or other things like that, are they going to have their own tokens, or do you think your 0xBlock token is going to kind of be the token that receives the benefit from those?
The idea is to have that one token receive the benefit of it all. I'm not going to say that there won't be any other tokens because there's definitely still some things that are in the talks. But the main goal is really to give it back to the holders of 0xBlock because that's like the main platform.
Okay, gotcha. And then many projects are putting NFTs, DEXs, launchpads, crypto wallets on their roadmaps. Are there any solid timelines? Because I think that's kind of what we're missing in a lot of these projects is, yes, someday we're going to have this. Do you guys have what does your roadmap look like date-wise?
Yeah, I think Professor can probably chime in on this one.
Yes. So in terms of timeline, currently we are mainly focused on adding the remaining core features on our dApp. So once those features are released, which will probably take around maximum 1 month, you can say. And once those core features are released, which will fill the gap of our dApp, right? Where we plan to release LP staking, 0xP staking, where users will be able to just buy 0xP and stake it, and we will not lock that tokens. So the previous question where the person was asking that we lock the contracts and people don't get the initial out. So in simple 0xP staking, you will still earn rewards, and you can also unstake your 0xP. You can unstake your initial anytime you want. So then our dApp will fill the gap of locking and unlocking. We will offer both features. So once these features are released on our dApp after the audit, after the complete development process in 1 month, then we will mainly focused on building out our first product. And at that moment, we will also share more details about our first product.
I think in terms of timeline, we're expecting to have some features, some DEX features in the last quarter of this year. Obviously, that's dependent on audit reviews, audit rounds, and how those go. We can never really foresee, anything that may go sideways or whatnot. But that's our goal, if you want.
Yeah, and it's difficult I was a software developer, and it's you don't want to promise or even say a date, and then you hit it, and then actually there's always unknown delays. So I understand teams are pretty careful about not saying a date unless you're pretty confident that you will be able to hit it. So, and there's a lot of unknowns in software development. So Alonso, James, can you talk about drip at the end of the AMA? So this is not, I want to respect the team, but I'll just give me 2 seconds here just to answer this because it's okay. So I have 3 wallets. I've sent 1,000 drip, which is like probably $100,000 worth of airdrops out of this wallet. Okay. So people who say I don't send airdrops, it's not true. Okay. So that we don't have to ask about it anymore. All right. Done with that. But thank you, Alonso, for your question. I appreciate it. How does the project control the price of 0xB? As in, what mechanisms are in place to control the price from skyrocketing or tanking?
Go for it.
Yeah, so currently in terms of price control, we have 2 mechanisms. The first mechanism is that when you mint a contract, we sell 10% of it, right? But it's customizable. When we see that price is skyrocketing, we increase that percentage. So we start selling more. And the second mechanism is that when you claim, we sell 10% portion at that time. So it's like bounded with the start and the end part, that when someone mints, we sell 10%. When someone claims, we sell 10%. So this keeps the price maintained. And as our smart contract is completely customizable, we can completely turn this off. We can increase the percentage. We can decrease it according to the mechanics of the price we are seeing.
Also, for mechanics that are more manual at this time, although it may change in the future, we do have a treasury behind it. Obviously, we made those purchases. We purchased some assets earlier this month. And we plan to hold on to those until it is more favorable. And so once we realize some gains with those, we do plan to either buy back our token or have some form of kickback.
Okay. And then just to be clear, you get your initial back in 100 days. So let me just again show the different contracts that you have. Can you just remind people what the ROI, how long is the ROI for these 3 different projects?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, you can see the ROI days there. But this APR is for the first 3 months. But after first 90 days, the DK model hits and the rewards decrease by 15% every 3 months.
Okay.
So like when you mint a contract, each contract have its own DK cycle, which starts from the day you minted the contract, and when the 90 days are passed, 15%, there will be a decrease of 15%, and that is recurring basis. On recurring basis, every 90 days, 15% rewards will decrease.
So the ROI for the square is around 146 days. The cube is around 92 days. And the Tesseract is around 73 days.
Okay, thank you. And again, that's it is dependent on, just so people are clear, it is dependent on the price. So you
right. There's exactly right. So your ROI is in the token itself. Now there's 2 ways you can look at ROI. Right, you can look at your dollar return or the token return. So ROI does not necessarily mean you're getting your dollar value back. ROI can sometimes be shorter depending on how the price fluctuates, or it can be longer as well, obviously.
Yes. And then after the initial 10 months, is the APR fixed in perpetuity? Or what does it do after the 10 months?
So I'm assuming he's asking whether it keeps on
The DK
decreasing.
model.
Yeah.
Right. It keeps on decreasing to infinity, right? So it would never reach zero, but it would just keep on decreasing.
Okay. Gotcha. And then what are you expecting your node growth to be over the next 6 months? And these are always
Yeah, that's a good
best
question.
questions, yes.
Over the next 6 months, I'd like to see it over 20,000. I think that's a decent number. How about you, Professor? What do you think about this? Inflame?
Yeah, that completely depends on investors coming to our project. But I think because we will be releasing some decent amount of new features in our dApp, that will gain interest of new investors, and I think we can reach this number in our next 6 months.
Then we get
Inflame, do you think this is a fair number? What did you have in mind? He's our marketing guy after all. Oh, is he still here?
I stepped away. He's probably like, oh, they don't need me.
Oh, sorry. No, so I was muted and then check it. Nice. The classic one. I didn't want to create the background noises, so I muted myself when I was not talking and just didn't realize it. Yeah. So basically, this question is like the same. Like, what do you expect will the price be in 6 months? It's like, of course, we have targets and stuff we want to go for. So I think the number is realistic, definitely. Like with all the things we have planned and we are launching, it is realistic. But we will never promise the state like we will 100% have those amount of nodes. This price will happen in 6 months. So because it's just everything can happen. You know, guys, it's crypto. We have a decent project. We have high quality standards. So yeah, everything can happen. From 20 to 50, maybe only 5K, who knows? But we aim higher, definitely. Yeah. We are working hard on it.
Yes, and so one thing that I'm seeing over and over and over again is you guys have the best dApp in the whole NAS ecosystem, and I would have to agree that like just how good your dApp looks and minting, and then like treasury, like it is probably the best. It's the most fun to look at. All the dApps that I look at. So
have you seen our new OnSwap site?
Your new which website?
Just on-site swap.
On-site swap.
Oh yes, I was just looking at that actually. I was going to show people how to get started. I'm like, well, this makes it a lot easier. So yeah, this new swap here. Let me on the wrong network, but yeah, here. So just buy your tokens here. And then you just mint them here, right? And that's the only 2 steps.
Makes it pretty easy.
Yeah. So again, if you're wanting to get involved, it's pretty easy. You just get some AVAX in your MetaMask wallet for now. Might be your own wallet someday. Or have you guys thought about like crypto to fiat bridge, or have you looked into that at all?
Yeah, I was actually. It's funny you mentioned that because it's something that I brought up to Professor, talking about options of having a direct fiat on-ramp on site, right? So my vision is really to make it as simple as possible for the holder or for anyone getting into crypto, right? So if we can eliminate any steps and have it all in one place, the less step, the better.
Right.
Exactly.
The more steps, the more you lose people, because you lose people in each step. So when people are trying to get fiat into crypto, you lose some people. When they're waiting for their funds to clear, you lose some people. When they're getting it over to MetaMask, you lose some people. Yeah. And then when they're purchasing, you lose some people. So right now, this is about as easy as it could be. You get some AVAX in your MetaMask wallet. Then you just say, hey, I want to buy 10 or whatever you want. Then you go to mint contract. So I guess you'd want to do 15 probably, or you could do 2 5s. That's fine. Then you just click mint, and then it'll take from your MetaMask wallet there. So yeah, very easy to get involved for sure.
Yeah, easy, but a high quality standard. So
exactly.
Yeah. As you see, as we've mentioned, we have a high quality standard, and this is just our beginning product. So we will develop it even further, and also this quality standard will be used for our DEX, for our NFTs, for our wallets. So you can imagine what we will deliver, because this is our goal, nothing below. So we have this standard. Of course, it can maybe take some more time, but rather take a month more and have the best product in the market in this scene. Don't want to talk too high, but we want to deliver the best people can have. And I think, yeah, we just showed that we can.
Okay, yeah, very cool. How far out can the treasury pay rewards currently? Do you guys know what your runway, I guess you might call it? I guess we could probably do the math if we really wanted to.
Professor, do you have a stat on that handy by any chance?
Yeah, so basically, a runway can be calculated in terms of dollars and in terms of native tokens. So with the current number of contracts in terms of 0xP tokens, our runway is like can be like few years. Yeah, sure. But in terms of dollars, we haven't calculated that,
Okay.
which can be calculated by seeing our treasury because it's completely public.
Yeah, and probably like a bigger danger. Well, what most node projects are finding is not, oh, we ran out of tokens to give out as rewards. It's we give out too many tokens and the price goes down because there's not enough buyers to match up with the sellers. So running out of tokens to reward is probably not, at least it's not my biggest fear.
No.
But more like those tokens going down in price is probably what I'm more hoping to counteract. So.
We have a very limited amount of tokens, right? 1 million cap is not that much. So you can expect like some drastic changes once, once we come out with these new features. So yeah.
Okay. And then John wants to know who bought the 2000th Tesseract.
Well, I think himself.
John, did you buy it? That's kind of a vain question then. I'm going to hide that one, John. But yeah, no, that's fine. What is the feature that is coming in the works that excites the core team the most?
Probably compounding, actually, because a lot of people, what they come back is, I don't want to pay that tax, right? I don't want to pay that claim tax because I just want to keep on compounding. So the idea of having the auto compound where you can bypass the tax, I think is a big deal for us and for the community. Also, shout out to It's Baby Jesus, because he's actually a mod on our Discord server.
Oh, very cool.
But yeah, I think that's definitely one of the top features that we're looking for. If we look past that, I think there's a lot more cool features that are going to be coming up once we start working on the DEX features. Okay,
and I do not believe that it's really Baby Jesus, because babies cannot type. So that's my take. Is there any phase 2 planned? So I don't totally know what that would entail, but I'll just ask it to you guys.
Sure, I think phase 2 can be seen. It can be seen in different ways. Maybe Professor can jump in on this. We're kind of already doing a phase 2 where we're bringing in these additional features that were not part of the initial release. So that could be seen as a phase 2, or if he's talking more about our next utility, our next like the DEX, for example, or the wallet. Then in that case, it would be a bit further out.
So maybe how I might view this is like, what is the end goal of what you're trying to do? Is it kind of was phase 1 is we need to raise some funds so that we can get to something else? Or is this part of what the vision you're trying to build? I guess maybe how do you think about it in terms of vision of what you set out to build?
Sure, I think, yeah, that's good. So phase 1 was really about like bringing the product to life and having it out there and being able to raise some funds that way. And then phase 2 for me, in my mind, is really to bring utility to phase 1. So right now it's nice, people can join in, but to bring actual utility for me is something that can generate revenue streams outside of the protocol itself. So I think that would be part of the phase 2 in that sense. Professor, is there anything you may want to add to that?
Exactly.
All
Yeah,
right.
exactly. So the most proud moment, I'm waiting for actually is that uh, we are mainly focused on the products which can generate revenue outside of 0xBlock, because in terms of taxes, these are just gamifications we can do, like taxing from here and there. But the actual revenue from which we can reward our users is the outside revenue, which can be done, which we can get via a product, right? And it should be top notch, because if a product will be innovative, then users will use it, and then we will get revenue. And because our headquarters is 0xBlock, so revenue will come back to the holders.
All right. And then Kim J says, I like what I'm hearing, but I personally need more motivation. Will you give extras to motivate me to invest in your project? For example, an NFT to add extra gain to my earnings. A bold question, I might say.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, if we understand it right, it is definitely an option we are talking about, that our NFTs we will release will be some kind of booster for your nodes, for your contracts, sorry. But this is not settled yet. It is definitely an option because we want to bring it into our ecosystem, so it would definitely make sense. So we are working on several utilities our NFTs will provide towards our contract holders.
Could
If
I
that
ask?
will cover the question.
Okay, yeah, I think that's probably good. Can I ask why? I think I know the answer, but I want to just ask, why did you decide to call them contracts instead of nodes?
Yeah, that was me and probably Professor as well. We were pretty adamant about standing out from what was already out there, mainly because right now most people were using the word nodes, and to me, a node has it's like an actual physical computer somewhere that contains the ledger. So a lot of these node project or so-called node projects don't really have nodes that sustain them, or don't really provide any nodes on any network for that matter. So by calling them contracts, we felt it was a bit more transparent to our members. Right, we want to kind of sensitize them into understanding what a node actually is, and understanding how it actually works. Right, so anyone can really create a contract like this and have like these RPC and call them nodes, but having actual nodes, there's very little projects that have done that.
Yeah, and actually, it's part of I guess the education that you're trying to get for people getting into crypto. These are not nodes, really, in any sense of the word. You'd have to really stretch the word node for it to make sense for what any of these projects are doing. So contract is more fitting. And it does make you stand out a little bit, even though it's essentially the same.
It's the same thing, and we talked about offering RPC endpoints to our contract holders, but before we get to that, we thought about what use would it actually bring and who actually uses these RPC endpoints, right? So generally, people who use the word node within their project would probably try to attract developers, right? But now it seems like node has been thrown around so much that even anybody in crypto or in DeFi really use that to mean that they're getting some kind of rewards. So yeah, that's why we landed on contracts, just for simplicity and for authenticity of what it actually is.
Yeah, I have so many RPC endpoints. I don't.
Same. Don't worry, me too.
I like thousands of RPC endpoints.
Exactly.
I definitely don't need that many. And to be totally honest, I don't use any of them. I just use the default RPC. I feel kind of
There you go. But it does
Exactly.
bring some valid questions. I think they're really important. It's really important for us to have these decentralized nodes, right? We've seen in the past where we start seeing censorship in different countries where they can't access the default MetaMask RPCs because they were blocked by Infura. Infura being the main provider for the default RPCs that are set up on MetaMask. So I think it's important to educate people on the matter, but we didn't see the need to actually have them within our protocol.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. This is a comment, not a question. I'll probably not put comments necessarily. It'll just do questions. Can we eventually refresh depleted contracts by purchasing additional 0xB? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's something that we're also working on. There's a few things like depleted contracts is something we want to work on. It's not something that's in our immediate sight because nobody has reached that point yet. So we might have maybe at least a year before we might need that. We're also working on upgrading contracts. So say you're on a square and you want to bump it up to a cube or a tesseract, we'll have a way for you to do that directly from the app, and which will also most likely be part of the auto compounding.
Okay. Is it true that Andres has the best dance moves? Yeah. Okay. It's not true at all. All right. I think the questions are quickly deteriorating. How's your strong block doing? I feel like that is a troll question towards me, so I'm not gonna.
No, that's probably towards me. I'm one of the OGs within strong block. I'll say it, and that's probably where I got most of my experience. I think we take a lot from it. We learn from these things, and in my mind, they're still kind of like the OGs that got people into nodes. So make that what you will.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Okay. I feel like the questions are deteriorating now, so maybe we should wrap this up here. I will tell you, this is the easiest AMA that I've done because
I like it.
I didn't even need to come up with any questions at all. You guys, the audience had a lot of good things to ask. Can I ask, is there anything else that you as a team that you really want to get across to the audience, or things that you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on for one thing or another?
No, I'm just really,
Yeah, one
really
thing.
sure. Go ahead, Professor.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention that makes us stand out is that we as a protocol, when we were building it, we had many options to do a whitelist, pre-sale, investors funding, but we didn't chose any, right? So we were the protocol which was funded personally by personal funds. So on our launch, not a single guy in our team, our dev team has had our token or outside of it, any investor or any pre-sale whitelist. So that's why we didn't want anyone to dump our token after launch, right? Like buying at cheap price and then dumping after the launch. So we were the first protocol that didn't do any kind of pre-sale whitelist, private rounds, nothing.
Yeah, and
Okay.
just
No,
to
sorry,
add
go
to
ahead.
that, we're just really grateful for the community that has shown up so far. We love to get the feedback from them, and we're always trying our best to be receptive to what they have to say.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for hopping on the channel. Appreciate you guys, being here and answering questions. You've been fun to deal with. I didn't tell anybody either, but they were all waiting for me. I had another call that I got off of like 2 minutes before this started, and so I hopped on with like a minute before we went live. And I hope that wasn't didn't panic you too much. But thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having us again.
Yes, and
Same.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you, audience. As always, we couldn't do AMAs unless you guys showed up to watch. So appreciate it. I will post this on Twitter right afterwards. So it'll be on my YouTube channel, and I'll post the link on Twitter. So yeah, John was wanting to know if you feel free to hop on there and you can like, retweet, what have you. But yeah, thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
Same to you.